nice way to end our Champions League group stages with a 2-1 win at home to Dinamo Zagreb. Sam, maybe not the most convincing of games, you know, maybe not as many goals as we'd have liked. But what was your overall assessment of that win?
I think it ended up being quite comfortable in a sense. I think they caused us way more problems in the first game that we had against them, so that was definitely a bonus this game. We saw a few changes in the second half as well. I think Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek came on to do well. Broja as well put himself about. I think getting a few more goals would have been nice, but we were creating chances. You know, Broja could have scored, Gallagher
is
scored
this
as well.
Not like the thing we've been talking about on Matchday Live for ages, is the creating of the chances, but not putting them away. That Conor Gallagher one at the end is, you know, when you look at the chances, he's got to be scoring that, hasn't he? Yeah,
I think so. But I think it's just good that they're getting in those positions, especially from the result that we had. Like, we don't want to go on about that too much, but I think moving forward now, if we're taking those chances, we're getting in those positions. I think Dennis Zakaria had a great game. He obviously went off because he had a little niggle as well. But yeah, he's put himself in that conversation as well. But yeah, I think overall it was a good result and a good bounce back from going 1-0 down.
Yeah, and we spoke about Edouard Mendy before the game and how important it was for him. Obviously, not ideal picking the ball out of his net in the first 5 minutes. Dinamo Zagreb started the second half with a little bit more intent, and he actually made a good save, Mendy, down to his left. He didn't have much to do tonight, but when called upon, he was there, and he was good with the ball with his feet, with the ball at his feet, wasn't he? Yeah,
and I think there's a misconception of goalkeepers not having to do that much, but to stay focused throughout the whole game when you're not on the ball as much. You've got maybe a few saves to make. You have to stay focused to keep your team in the game when it just comes every 10 minutes or so. To make that save is a big moment for him, and he's definitely going to get confidence from that.
Yeah, hopefully. Elizabeth obviously joins us back on Matchday Live. Elizabeth, perhaps not the most convincing of wins that we maybe would have liked. It did look like Aubameyang was trying very hard to get on the score sheet. There was that one chance, not even a chance, on the edge of the box, a quick step over, and he curled it in the corner and it hit the bar. He came so close tonight, didn't he?
He did. He had a couple of really good opportunities, and I think as a whole, Chelsea really looked like scoring in the last 20-ish minutes or so. I'm actually surprised that the score stayed 2-1 because there were quite a few opportunities, but Aubameyang was one of the ones that just had a couple of really, really close chances in this one.
Yeah, and someone else who had a really good game, Elizabeth, was Ben Chilwell down that left-hand side. But now all we're going to be talking about is him pulling up with a hamstring injury that might now make him miss the World Cup. It's just gutting, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to feel for Ben Chilwell because he obviously had that terrible, terrible injury about a year ago, and he put in the work. He didn't go on a summer vacation or holiday, and he was reporting back to training and just trying to get back match fit and trying to make it in time for the World Cup. And I don't know that much about injuries, but it really did not look good because he couldn't put any weight on it. It just looked like a hamstring tear, if I were to say something, but he was hobbling off the pitch. And gotta feel for Ben Chilwell, and I wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully he's not out for too long.
Yeah, and we'll keep you up to date on the Fifth Stand app as soon as we get any more information on just the extent of that Ben Chilwell injury. But Sam, it didn't look good. He pulled up straight away. And do you think this is going to affect Premier League players across the next 4 games or so, across the next 2 weeks? Are they going to be giving their all because they don't want to be missing the World Cup through injury?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one because if you at 75%, the likelihood of you getting injured is high, in my opinion. Like, they have to give their all. The competitions that they're playing in the Premier League, the Champions League, a tough competition. So it's just unfortunate because, you know, it's the last few minutes of the game. He's just tapped it past the player.
He knew straight away, though. That's the worrying thing, is that when you pull up and you feel
like
it go,
and
you feel it, you almost know. And the way he went down with his hands on his face, obviously we don't know the extent of this Ben Chilwell injury, but it just doesn't look good, does it?
Yeah, hopefully it's not that bad. I think sometimes we've seen players play through certain like pools, or even we saw with James when he tried to carry on with his injury. Hopefully it's not too bad, or maybe it's just a week or a few games, because it would be really tough for him to, have to bounce back so much to now go out before the World Cup. So it's wishing him a speedy recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, someone else who had a brilliant game was Denis Zakaria. His first appearance for Chelsea, his first goal, and plenty of you have been tweeting about him. This tweet says Zakaria might just be what we've been missing since Kanté got injured. Zakaria and Jorginho pivot, something might be brewing. People are liking that partnership in midfield. Third one, Zakaria is a secret weapon. I think Chelsea fans have enjoyed that performance today. And the final one, purely based on the minutes I'm seeing so far, I'm liking Zakaria, definitely adding the physicality to our midfield and posing in front of goal too when required. Now, we're not comparing him to N'Golo Kanté, of course we're not, but in terms of the type of player that they are, he seems to be very good in terms of getting back, getting interceptions, making tackles, but also box to box. That's what Kanté is.
Yeah, and I think it's almost good that he wasn't thrown in straight away, and he was been able to understand the players, what Potter wants, the team around him, and then getting comfortable and playing in a game that, like we said, we didn't really need much from, but it gave him the platform to show what he can do to Potter and the fans as well. I think he did really well. You could see that in the first half especially, he was picking up those like half spaces in between Jorginho and the forwards, and he was almost playing in between those lines, and he got a brilliant goal as well. So hopefully that little niggle that he got wasn't too mad,
just
so
precaution.
he can, it was just precaution. But yeah, it'll be nice to see more of him.
A really positive debut, like we say. Sometimes it's difficult for players when they come in trying too hard. Elizabeth, do you think he's put himself in contention? If that injury was just he's been taken off as a precaution, do you think he puts himself in contention to start in midfield against Arsenal? You're thinking of the types of players we're going to come up against. It's a very physical Arsenal midfield. We could maybe do with someone like him in there.
Definitely. I think that he's done all that he realistically can to put himself in contention for the Arsenal games, or any of the upcoming games for that matter. He had 6 passes into the final third, and like you mentioned, quite a few tackles and recoveries, interceptions. And Chelsea have just been missing that really big defensive player. Well, N'Golo Kanté isn't that tall, but he has a big presence. But I saw that with Zakaria today, that he provided that defensive coverage. And I think because of that as well, Jorginho was also given the opportunity and time to pick the special passes that we were talking about earlier in the show as well. So I think definitely we will be seeing more of him, and it was a very, very good debut.
Yeah, it was brilliant from Denis Zakaria. Let's just remind ourselves then of how Group E finished. Of course, Chelsea topped the group there before this match day had even gone ahead. AC Milan beating Salzburg 4-0 when they needed a result. They go through as well in second place. Salzburg will drop into the Europa League, and of course Dinamo Zagreb there on 4 points. We can actually see all of the teams that have qualified for the knockout round of the Champions League. We did see this earlier, of course, the last place going to AC Milan. The names, Sam, you were probably expecting. All the teams, all the big teams are there.
Yeah.
Who would you want to face,
It's a tough one, I like big fixtures in the round of 16. Like I'd face any of them, to be honest.
Apart from PSG.
I wouldn't mind it. I'll be honest.
Really?
Yeah, man. Get Messi at the bridge.
I want the easiest possible route to the final. I do not want, like we had last season, I don't want a Real Madrid in. I know we can't get Real Madrid, but surely you want no offence to Club Bruges, but surely, so these are the teams we can face. We can face Inter Milan, Frankfurt, Benfica, Bruges. Oh no, it's PSG now, not Benfica. So basically, PSG and Benfica, they had the same amount of goals scored, the same amount of goals conceded, and they had the same goal difference, they had the same points, their head-to-head was 1-1. So it came down to away goals scored, and Benfica scored more away goals than PSG, which means Benfica topped the group. So Chelsea can now face Paris Saint-Germain, so Leipzig and Dortmund. I'm sorry, out of them, I'm taking Club Bruges. I don't know about you two, but Elizabeth, who do you want out of those teams? You've got Inter, Frankfurt, PSG, Bruges, Leipzig or Dortmund?
Yeah, I tend to side with you, Liv. I know that you have to beat the best to be the best, but I would prefer to face, I don't want to say an easier opponent because they're all difficult at this stage, but one of the I would say Club Brugge as well.
Yeah. Sam, come on. Listen, I love, you got to beat the best to be the best, but I would much rather beat the best in the final, not have to beat the best in every round of the Champions League.
But then it's just, I don't know, I hear what you're saying, I'll be honest. I think that obviously is the more favourable run, but at the same time, I feel like going into these like last 16 games as the clear favourites, sometimes I don't like that energy. I like going against the best, 50-50, we'll see who wins. If you get knocked out, it's unfortunate. If you go through, you go with a new energy, like we've just beat one of the best teams in the competition. So, yeah, PSG, man, bring them to the bridge.
You want PSG?
Yeah, man, bring PSG. I need Messi.
Three.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to face that front three?
I'm sure.
I'm going Club Brugge. I'm sticking with that on this show, Club Brugge. But you are right. You have to beat the best to be the best. And actually, all of those teams that Chelsea could face, they're pretty good, and some of them are big European powerhouses. You mentioned Inter Milan. There is a whole load of stories with Chelsea and Inter Milan. And back to the San Siro, where we won not so long ago.
Yeah, I don't know who we're going to get, but I'm hoping it's either, you know, the ones with the storylines or the top teams, just because, like I said, it's more exciting. You know, you get these players down to the bridge as well. Seeing if Messi comes to Stamford Bridge and we beat him, that would just be another thing that we have under our belt. And also the run that we had when we won it. We played some of the best teams. I think we played Porto. Was it in the last 16?
Yeah.
Atletico.
Madrid,
and then City.
And that's tough.
Yeah.
That is tough. So, you know.
But then it's like that year we had that, but then 2012 we had like a really difficult run. I don't know. It's just. I don't know what I'd prefer. Give me the easiest route to the final. Give me the easiest route to the final. Now, remember that Champions League knockout draw is on Monday. So, of course, stay tuned for that. But coming up on the Fifth Stand Up Friday afternoon, it's Graham Potter's press conference ahead of the Arsenal game. And on Sunday, Matchday live from 11:15 a.m. ahead of a 12 o'clock kickoff. It's a London derby. Chelsea against Arsenal. Very, very excited for that one. Sam, Elizabeth, a one-word sum up on today. Chelsea 2, Dinamo Zagreb 1. Through top of the group, how would you sum it up?
Comfortable.
Comfortable, perfect. Elizabeth?
Happy, and I'd like to say that I got the score prediction correct.
Yes, you did. We didn't actually reference that. Well done, Elizabeth. Well done, Elizabeth. Well, that is it. Chelsea 2, Dinamo Zagreb 1 on the day. Nice to end the Champions League group stages with a win, and we will see who we face on the Champions League knockout draw on Monday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.